Hey y'all, what is going on? What is going on? It's your girl, Melba Pearson, also known as the Resident Legal Diva, and it is time for another Mondays with Melba. So, I am still keeping on the theme of getting everyone election ready and most importantly, focusing on local races because, again, so many people think about the presidency and focus on, these top of the ballot races and not realize that your commissioners, your city council, your mayor, your sheriff really impacts your day to day more so than the presidency. Not saying don't vote for the presidency, but be mindful of the other races that will impact your day to day. Don't sleep on the rest of the ballot. So, in that spirit, I am so excited to chat with Ellis Keeter, who is running for North Miami Beach Commissioner. Ellis, welcome to Mondays with Melba.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. So, share a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background and why you're running for commission.
Okay, cool. So, it's funny. You mentioned introduce yourself. And so I will introduce myself. My name's Ellis Keeter. I am running for commissioner in North Miami Beach in group number 7. There are 4 other candidates also running in that race. So it's a packed race. But I believe I am the best candidate. About my background, I am a lawyer by trade. I also have a background in education. But as I was thinking about this question, I always have to ask myself, or actually I could give you the lawyer answer for my background, and it depends. It depends on what you're asking. If you're asking about my educational background, I attended UNC Chapel Hill for undergrad. I moved to Miami for law school. As I mentioned, I am an attorney by trade. What about, my personal background? I'm from North Carolina. I am the son of a Korean mother, a Black American father. I am married to another lawyer. So imagine the arguments in our household. She always wins because she's the better lawyer. That's a little bit about me personally and professionally. The reason I'm running for commissioner is it's pretty simple. And I'll use a sort of a sports analogy. I am a sports fan. So I didn't want to any longer sit on the sidelines for decisions that affect, as you mentioned, my day-to-day life. It actually all started, I was making a transition from higher ed into or back into my private law practice. And so I was, attending little community events. I went actually to a police and community together meeting in North Miami Beach, and I happened to meet a commissioner there. And we hit it off and we had a conversation, and she actually recommended me to be on a citywide board. Sort of one thing led to another. And the more I started learning about, the way the city operates, the way these decisions are made, I started, as a leader in my personality type, I started thinking to myself, I can't sit on the sidelines for these decisions that are going to affect my life. So I want to be in the game. And so that's why I'm running for commissioner, because I want to use my skill set and my knowledge, to help shape some of the decisions that are going to affect my life and the life of my neighbors.
And so, what stood out to you, like as you were learning more about how the city operates and all of that? What kind of stood out to you that really pushed you over the edge that made you want to get involved?
Oh, man, that's funny because, a lot of people are like, well, I didn't know you wanted to be a politician. And I don't. I still don't, even though I guess I'm in politics now, but I don't really consider myself a politician. I like the term leadership more. And to me, leadership is service. And I've always sort of been big on service. And I think our community needs people like myself, people of a high standard, that can bring leadership and service to help better their lives. Because a lot of, most people are not involved in local government. They don't really know what's going on in their city. Listen, I was a professional person, highly educated, and I didn't know what was going on in my city. That's not a knock on the people who aren't involved or engaged, because I know people, they work hard, they come home, they're tired. They don't have time to go to a 4-hour long commission meeting on Tuesday nights. They don't have time to go to town halls or whatever the case may be. And so I want to give back to the community by coming and, like I said, being a servant leader and helping shape their lives a little bit more and for the better.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So what are some of the key things you want to accomplish should you be victorious?
Yeah, so I would say that I have 4 major areas that I kind of want to tackle. First of all, workforce development, affordable housing, public safety. We'll throw that one in there. That's actually the 5th one. I want to increase revenue for the city, and I also want to increase some social programs for the city. So I would say those areas are sort of broad areas that I would want to, kind of tackle.
So where do you see the need for social services? Like what types of social services do you think the folks of North Miami Beach need? Because clearly, job creation, that's a no-brainer, right? We all need jobs. We need more money in the city, and attracting conferences and other revenue generating events and other initiatives are super important. But what's your thought around social services?
So when I'm thinking social services, I'm thinking things like Meals on Wheels for our seniors, programs like that. And we have in North Miami Beach, we already do a lot of programs that are beneficial for seniors. In fact, I was at a commission meeting last night, and one of the residents got up and commended the commission for the work they're doing for the seniors. But also, I'm thinking of things like helping out with school registrations. For the older students who are thinking about going to college, college counseling, help with filling out FAFSA applications, college applications, which colleges that you can apply to and think about attending. These are things as a first generation college person. Luckily, I have an older brother and he sort of went through the process before me, but me and my siblings neither one of our parents went to college. And so when we were filling out our FAFSA, that was the first time for all of us. And I know that that's something that, especially for a population where many of the parents are immigrants from another country, I faced that as myself. Like I said, my mom came from Korea. She raised us as a single mother. She had no idea about the system, how it works, how to apply for these things, how to apply for grants and scholarships. And so if we could provide services like that for our, for the residents and the youth, I think that would be a great thing.
And what do you think is one of the biggest challenges around public safety in North Miami Beach?
So when I talk about sort of the 4 areas that I want to cover, they sound big and they are big. But when I'm talking to residents, I always tell them basically the same thing. Whenever you're talking to candidates, we're all going to kind of sound the same when we talk about our platforms and what we want to do for the city. We all have a grand vision for the city. We all have this sort of pie in the sky hope for the city. But what we don't talk about is that all of these things cost money, right? And there's only a couple ways a city makes money. Really, there's one major way in the state of Florida. The reason we don't have a personal income tax in Florida or a state income tax in Florida is because the state generates revenue from its tax base through property. So our property taxes are sort of the main driver for most municipalities and subdivisions of the state. We're lucky in North Miami Beach that we have a water plant. We own the Norwood water treatment plant, and the aquifer that sits underground beneath it. And so that's another major source of revenue for our city. But looking back over our budget, me and my team, we've taken a look back over, I would say the last 9 years. The growth of our city's expenses is outpacing the growth of our city's revenues. When we look at our balanced budget, that doesn't tell the story because it's going to say we generated X amount of dollars, we spent X amount of dollars. In our case, last year it was 180 million. And we spent 180 million. Everything balances. It's great. It looks pretty on paper, but what an audit will show you on a balanced budget like that. will show you that money came in and money was spent and where it went. It won't show you if that was the best way to spend the money, right? Or it won't show you things like I just mentioned, where the growth of expenses is outpacing the growth of revenues. So while our budget looks nice and balanced, we're actually, it's kind of a misnomer, but we're kind of running at a deficit, so to speak, because the growth of our income is not keeping up with the growth of our expenses. I think the question was about public safety. So I'll kind of circle back to that. I'll kind of circle back to that. And so all of these things cost money, as I mentioned. And if your city is not in a sound financial position, then you're looking at things like layoffs in the police department and things like that. I'm not a defund the police person. I know that sort of was a movement back after George Floyd and all of that. I support police. I've got some friends in the police department, but I don't necessarily think that more police is the answer for solving crimes. I do think, and this kind of will go back to the social services thing. What I want to do is I want to take a look at the types of crimes that are being committed, right? So and why they're being committed. So if it's strong arm robbery, that's one thing. You might have a violence problem in your city. But if it's people stealing a loaf of bread because they're hungry, or if it's kids loitering outside of public buildings because they have nothing else to do after school, to me that says, why don't we have an after school program for the youth? Or why don't we do something to feed people who may be struggling to feed themselves? And then that kind of, whatever, all crime is important, but petty crimes, it wouldn't be an issue. So I would say the issue with public safety is that we need to really take a hard look at the types of crimes that are being committed in our city and really try to analyze why, so that we can address the why. Sorry, that was a very long-winded answer. I'm a politician now, I guess.
Yeah, most importantly, you're an attorney. But no, that's a really huge point, because when we talk about public safety, people automatically think, oh, that means boost the police budget, double the police budget, triple it, when public safety can be impacted by the social services that are available. Because again, social services to me is crime prevention. Right. So if you have the adequate services for the community, then people won't need to, commit crimes. Now, people will still commit crimes regardless, of course, but, at least you can reduce the need-based, I guess, causes for crime versus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. You're very brilliant. Melba, you get it.
I've been down this road a couple times before.
Yes.
So, okay, I'm going to give you the last word. Tell everyone how they can learn more about you, how they can volunteer in terms of maybe knocking doors with you, doing some phone banks or maybe text banking. I mean, of course, donating, because we all know that campaigns aren't free. So
all things cost money. Yep. So yes, thank you very much for the opportunity to say that. So you can visit my website, www.votekeeter.com. That's the word vote, VOTE. My last name, Keeter, KEETER.com, votekeeter.com. You can sign up to volunteer there. You can just let me know that you're with me and you're cheering me on. That would, I love to hear those things too. You can also donate directly from the page. So that's the main way to contact me. If you have my cell phone number, I'll give it to you right now. I don't know if this is a mistake, but I'll say it's 305-978-0605. You can get in touch with me directly, because that's how I want to be. I want to be a candidate for the people. So call me, reach out to me, let me know you're with me. But the easiest way is to visit the website. There you can sign up to volunteer. You can let me know you're with me. You can also donate to the campaign.
Sounds amazing. And for everybody watching, I'm going to obviously drop the link in the comments, so that way folks can easily just click and, bookmark the page and go back and forth. And obviously, please, folks, share this with your friends. Remind them of the importance of down ballot races. Make sure they know who's running in their community, and that before you get to the voting booth, you have a plan, because early voting starts on the 21st and goes until Sunday, the 5th, the 3rd, November 3rd. And from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., you can vote anywhere on any early voting site. Or you can drop off your vote by mail ballot if you still have it at home. If you still have your vote by mail ballot at home, don't mail it because they ain't going to make it. It's not going to make it. It's just not. So take it to the early voting place, drop it off, or you can drop it off at the supervisor of elections in Doral, and you can do it that way. And of course, you can vote in person on election day. So those are your options, but make sure that you have a plan, know who you're voting for, pull your sample ballot. I'm obviously going to drop vote.org in the chat as well so that folks, if you need to, again, pull your sample ballot, figure out where your day of polling place is, because sometimes your polling place changes. You don't remember, right? If you haven't voted on election day in a minute, your polling place may have changed. So make sure to check that as well. Okay, I'm done with my speech. Y'all, this is Ellis Keeter.
If I may, I did want to throw, you made a really good point. I know that the early voting locations in my city have changed since the last time. So make sure you know where the locations are. In North Miami Beach, or the nearest to North Miami Beach, are going to be the North Miami Public Library and the Aventura Library. There's also a North Dade. I think there's one at California Club as well. But make sure you know where the early voting locations are because they may have changed.
That part, that's really important. Thank you, Ellis. So yes. Ellis, thank you so much for joining us on Mondays with Melba. Best of luck, and hopefully we will see you victorious on November 5th at 8 p.m.
Thank you so much, Melba. It was a pleasure to be here. I had a lot of fun. Thanks.
Awesome. Take good care, y'all. Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye.